Hello and welcome to the third and final part of the synthesis series using Native Instruments Reaktor 5. My name's Ashil Riot. Since the last episode, where we created 3 oscillators, filter sections, volume controls to manipulate and mix between the oscillators. Since the episode, let's just go on and added an extra filter section at the end, so that if we do not wish to use a filter section within the oscillators themselves, we can use one at the end of the finally at the end of the mix. I've created some off sections for the filters within the oscillators. These are just simply done. How I did it was I went into my instrument. So for oscillator 1, I created macros for the waveform section and the filter section, just so that it looks. So you got a cleaner, you got little boxes around each section within the oscillators. To create the off function for the filters, all you do is go into where you've created your filter, and the in input you put into the filter, you drag a new one onto the switch command and drag a line and then call it off, so it will bypass your filter section. And then to add a filter at the end of the synth, what I did is after I just copied the macro from in here, and after our add module where we add the sound of each oscillator together, put the filter in between that and master fader output. Okay, so what I've also done here is I've created a boiling pot of different sounds I've created using the same synthesizer, just to put it in context and show you what you can do with it. So take a listen. So yeah, there you have a little boiling pot I've made. I've created some percussion out of it, a bass, a lead synth, stab, and just a higher synth, just to add some impact for different sections. Now I want to take you through how I made each instrument. So we're going to start with a snare. So we open up Reaktor. So we go back to our panel view. Right, what you can see is I've used oscillator 1 and 3. For oscillator 2, I just turn it all the way down. What I did is use a sine wave in my waveform in oscillator 1. I turned my filter off because I didn't need a filter on it. And then I've manipulated the level, so I've got it about a third of the way up. And oscillator 3, I used a noise waveform that creates just that poppy, that snare sound. I haven't used a filter on that, and I've turned that up about a quarter of the way. If you want to hear, that's the sound that makes. I've put the attack all the way up, decay about 11 o'clock, sustain about the same, and the release about 11:30, I'd say. And what that does is the release lets the snare ring out a touch once you let go of it. Decay and sustain just holds the sound, so it sounds full and thick, and the attack makes it pop. I haven't used any filter on that, and that was it's as simple as that, just to make the snare. It doesn't sound as good as some samples, but with more manipulation, like such as I've used distortion on the snare, just a little quick plug-in just to make it pop slightly more. So I'll show you with and without it. So without it, feels like it lacks a little something. And then I'll put the distortion plugin on, gives it a little bit more pop. Then yeah, I've just used some EQ just to get rid of any low frequency information to make room for my kick and my bass. Now if we move on to our hi-hat, what I did for the hi-hat, I didn't use oscillator 1 or 2, I just stuck with oscillator 3. Choose a noise, used a high pass filter, had a cut off all the way up because we want them high frequencies in there, and I boosted the resonance all the way up, so we got a nice high frequency information there for our hi-hat. I've used a quick attack Delay's about 11 o'clock. As you can see, it's got a nice slope here, so when it plays, it's just quick and snappy. I didn't use a filter on that either, I've just left that how it is. The only thing I've done to on the channel strip is use a high pass filter to take everything out below 2K to make room for everything else. That's a quite realistic sounding hi-hat. Now with further manipulation you can make that probably sound better, but it's a start. For my kick, here's what it sounds like. So all I've done for my kick, I haven't used oscillator 2 or 3, just stuck with a sine wave. I used a low pass filter on the oscillator. I've cut off just below half, so we just want that low mid and low information there. Haven't used any resonance. I used a quick attack, but not too quick, as it was giving too much of a click sound, so I'll turn it down a touch. About just over a quarter way of decay, just so we've got a quick slope as well, so we've got like a nice quick punchy kick. Literally no release at all and no sustain. I haven't used a filter on that either. Only thing I've done, channel strip, I've taken out any low information below 76 Hz to make room for my bass. So now to the bass. Yeah, so I could add some distortion and other effects to that to make that sound a bit better, but that's literally just my sine wave, the same as the kick. I haven't used oscillator 2 or 3. Only thing I've done is shorten my attack so the sound comes in slower, so that when the kick hits it doesn't clash, as it's a bass, not an 808 kick. Decay's the same as on the kick, so just over a quarter away. I've got a longer sustain just to hold the note, and my release is just over the midway point. This is so that, well, in this I've hold long sustain notes, but if I was using, for example, if I was doing 808 kicks, it slightly rings out, and that could also be changed as well. Just added a quick bit of EQ, just ducked some 100 Hz out because that's where our kick was hitting. Took everything out below 28 Hz because you won't really hear them on speakers unless you got a low sub. Next I added a synth lead, and for that just used I used all 3 oscillators in that. So I used two sine waves just to get like I could have stuck with 1, but I used 2 just to get a thicker sounding sine. No filters on them. I used the noise, cut off just some of the high harsh frequencies and a big resonance, just so we got, as you can hear the noise there in the background. It just has like a slight delay onto it. I've used quite a fast attack on that, about 11 o'clock on my decay and about 10 o'clock on the sustain. This kind of holds it a little bit but not too much. We've got about 2/3 of the way on the release just to let it ring out a touch. I have used the filter section on that. I used a band pass, and I've taken everything out till about just in the high mid frequency area there, just to leave the high frequencies for my hi-hat. Just a little bit of EQ on that, just taking everything out below 240 Hz to leave room for my kick on my bass. Next we have a stab. Sorry. So it's kind of got like that, the keyboard piano-y sort of feel, that kind of stab. What I've used for that is all 3 oscillators again. So I've used the sine in the first one, a square in the second. I've put the pulse width up just so it's got slightly more width to the pulses, and then a saw in my oscillator 3. No filter in the first 2. In oscillator 3 in my saw wave, I've got a higher pass filter, just boost some of that top end. Attack, I got still quite a quick attack on that. Decay just under 12 o'clock. Sustain just over, just to hold it out a touch. and just over halfway in a release as well. I've used a low pass filter on that to take out any highs, just because in modern music, in hip hop nowadays, people like to put a low pass filter on most of the synth just to leave space for vocals and the snare to cut through. Then I've just got a nice mix there. I think I've got the square as my loudest. I've got the sine and the saw at about just on the midway point, and it's giving me a nice mix. Lastly, just a high pass filter on there just to keep space for the low information of the bass and the kick, and then I've got my high synth added. It's kind of got a like that harp bell kind of sound to it. What I used for that was just oscillator 2 and 3, so I had a saw and a square. Pulse width about 2/3 of the way up, no filter in either of them. The way I've mixed it, I've got the saw 3/4 of the way up and the square just above half. Still quite a quick attack there. The same delay, decay and sustain as my stab, and quite a long release there just to let it ring out like a bell would. Use the low pass filter on there again, just to take out some more of that high end information, just so it's not too tinny and it's got some thickness to it. And then again, yeah, just some EQ just to tidy up that low end, and hear that all together in context. And yeah, we've made ourselves a realistic sounding 4-bar loop that can be used in a beat. That shows the power this synthesizer we've just created has. You can literally make any sound out of it. So yeah, that was the last tutorial in the series. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you took something away from it and can see the benefits of creating your own synthesizers, and how you can literally make a song just using that one synthesizer. My name's Ashil Wright. Thank you for watching.